Dan, you asked me about Watson. First of all, my head's going to explode over this.
Okay.
In a Houston season when there wasn't much going on in any of the sports, we've got Harden wants out. The Astros had to go through what they went through and self-inflicted. And now the second best building franchise player in this league. We're talking about being unhappy. Now, when Cal McNair promised him that he'd at least have some input, I get his frustration. If you're going to say something, live by it. If not, then don't talk to the quarterback. Just let him do his thing. Deshaun's not getting traded. Goff got 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 3s. Dan, this is Herschel Walker Hall. Because if I took Deshaun Watson and stuck him in Kansas City, and I think Mahomes is the best in the league, I'm talking about building franchise for the next 7 to 10 years, that the Kansas City Chiefs would still be the number 1 seed in 14-2 or 13-3 if Watson was there.
Yeah.
If Mahomes was in Houston, the Texans would still be 4-12. So I'm just telling you that the distance between 1 and 2 is closer than the distance between the second and third best franchise builder in this league. You cannot trade Deshaun Watson. I know he should be frustrated. The ownership is dysfunctional. Eric Bieniemy should get an interview. But you can't trade him because unless you want to give me 11 players or 3 1s, 2 2s, a starter and another starter, I'm not even answering your damn phone call.
Yeah, but if Watson wants out, then what do you do?
Well, Dan, he's under contract for 5 years? He's a $40 million a year player. With his DNA and his character, okay, let's say it's August and they haven't traded him. Let's just for fun say that. You think he's not showing? Name me a quarterback who's in his mid-20s in the history of this game, the number one we've even thought about trading as an elite franchise quarterback, or who's held out of camp for when you're making that money. Find me one. It's not going to happen.
But what's management do to appease him, Sean?
How about just simply call him up? We'll give you input. And, oh, by the way, we'll interview Eric Bieniemy. It doesn't cost that much to interview a guy who, by all standards, is not only prepared, is ringing endorsements from Andy, from Pat Mahomes, and from Deshaun Watson and around the league. Other people are interviewing Eric Bieniemy. What's it take, Dan? Put him on a corporate plane or get on Zoom and find out what you need to know for 2 hours. I don't think the GM, Nick Caserio, has anything to do with Deshaun's frustration. I think it's the dysfunction of the constant one thing, do another. Deshaun should be frustrated. Wouldn't it be they paid him, so he got paid, put some players around him, which is going to be Nick Caserio's job. But, Dan, just bring in a guy, at least interview the guy. You don't have to let Deshaun hire the guy, but Deshaun should have some input, shouldn't he?
No.
All your great players should have some input.
I don't think Ben Roethlisberger has input. I don't think Drew Brees has input. Brady didn't have input.
Okay. If they were going to trade Michael Thomas, you don't think that Sean Payton would have the respect? Or if they were going to trade DK Metcalf in Seattle, I didn't say make the decision. You don't think at least a text message saying we're considering doing this. What do you think? Dan, I'll tell you this, and this is honest to God truth. When I was in San Diego, and I'm no player, there's about 8 of us, that our general manager in San Diego, when Bobby Ross was on his way out, called us in to ask what we thought about a possible new replacement. A guy who'd been in the league a while. And now listen, I wasn't exactly your starter for 10 years. Called us in and wanted, and Bobby Beathard, and we didn't make the decision. He just wanted some input for guys that were there because he loved Bobby Ross, and we did. So input. So why wouldn't you, and if you're not giving input, I don't believe in letting them make a decision. Brady, Manning, Watson, Wilson. But I do. Why wouldn't I have LeBron James at least give me some insight? Why wouldn't I let Deshaun Watson give me insight? I just signed him for $200 or $175 million, and then go make your decision. And what does it cost to interview a guy to appease the guy who, quite frankly, is a top 3 player at his position in this league?
I wouldn't have given him that, hey, we're going to consult with you.
The promise initially. Amen.
Yes.
You're exactly right.
But if you give it to him, then you can't go, well, we're going to let you be consulted on certain things, but not this. Then I have a problem with that.
Amen. And I said it earlier today. I said, listen, if you're the owner, just don't say anything. Be the owner. Let the GM. Dan, I've been in teams that I'll bet you there's players across this league that have never shaken hands with the owner of their franchise. Now, meaning, the owners kind of, sometimes you don't even see them in the building for months or 2 years. So if you're going to go to your franchise player and promise him, live up to the promise. Because here's a problem. when you lie to people or you go back on promises like this committee, like the Corn Ferry, like promising your quarterback. When it happens once, you say, okay. Happens twice, you wonder. Happens 3 times, it's a trend. Okay, everybody makes mistakes. So this has become a trend with the dysfunction that's Cal McNair and the Texans. If you're a head coach now and you're saying, okay, I got the Chargers and Herbert, I got a great player in Watson, but the franchise dysfunction, why would I go there to be a part of this? And it ain't going anywhere right now. And Cal McNair's created this with Deshaun Watson. We don't need number 4 unhappy, but I agree with you. I would have never tried to consult, but if a little input doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't mean you have to make the decision Deshaun wants. Just appease him after you promised him by at least giving him a 10-minute talking to.
Well, I had Mike Florio on, and he had the initial report, and he said, probably the reason why they didn't interview Bieniemy is they didn't want to interview him and then not hire him, as opposed to we're just not interviewing him. Whatever the logic is on that,
right.
That's what Florio had to say.